Esa enai el hearim, Esa enai el hearim, me'ayin yavo, yavo esri, me'ayin yavo, yavo esri, me'ayin yavo, yavo esri, me'ayin yavo, yavo esri. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination. But life is a journey, a going and growing from stage to stage, from childhood to maturity, and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowledge, from foolishness to discretion and then to wisdom, from weakness to strength, strength to weakness, and often back again. From health to sickness and back we pray to health renewed. From offense to forgiveness. From loneliness to love. From joy to gratitude. From pain to compassion. And from grief to understanding. From fear to faith. From defeat to defeat to defeat. Until looking backward or ahead we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made a journey. Birth is a beginning, death a destination, but life a journey, a sacred pilgrimage made stage by stage from birth to death unto life everlasting. Amen. El HaRachamano, sweet God, you have taken a beloved friend. Our friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence there is lamentation, in their tears there is loneliness. In sorrow, we pray now, God, that they find you. Be with them, God, and hear us all. For Bettie's love that united us in life, death cannot sever. Her companionship shared for so many years along life's path continues now in the tenderness of memory. And for the gifts of her heart and mind that brought joy and happiness, for all these and more, we give our thanks to you, O God. In this time of grief, we listen to the voice of our sacred scriptures that brings us a message of kinship with our Creator, in darkness, in joy, in light, and in death. I invite you, if you wish, to join with me in the recitation of the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou spreadest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. Ata imadi, thou art with me. These words of the psalmist are echoed still today in the feelings expressed to me by Bettie's loving family, who are so blessed to have you with them here today. Ata imadi, thou art with me. You should only know how much it means to them to have your company, to have your remembrance of this very special human being as part of this tribute today. At the conclusion of our service, we will continue with a service of interment at Mayfield Cemetery, and after which the family will receive friends at Jan's home at 26450 Hurlingham Road in Beechwood. Shiva will continue today following services until 8 p.m., Friday 1 to 4 p.m., and on Sunday 1 to 4 p.m. Friends who wish to honor Bettie's memory with a gift of tzedakah are encouraged to share a gift with, well, I got to do this right. It says here Jewish Women International, but she didn't like that name. Still, the B'nai B'rith women will be glad to cash your check. if you write it to the Jewish Women International and contribute to support their worthy cause, or perhaps to the National Council of Jewish Women, Cleveland section. They, of course, invite your continued remembrances, your loving gestures of condolence, and your good wishes, support in the days and weeks to come. Dear friends, contemporary Rabbi Jacob Schenkman once wrote that inside of each person is a private place of memory. It's a sanctuary where our loved ones who have gone before us now abide. There we sense their presence, they caress our spirits, and we enfold them in our hearts. They talk to us there. They tell us tales. And thus the pain of separation is soothed by memory, the hurt sustained, healed by love, and we ourselves become somehow ennobled through our sorrow. It's a beautiful idea, don't you think? That our souls are immortal and held with care by those whom we encountered. Today I pray, dear God, in this gentle space where we have gathered, that this beautiful Jewish teaching be true. For all of you, I pray that the sorrow that may choke up your throats this afternoon come to ennoble you in some way. As we look within today, we'll find there a devoted mother, mother-in-law, proud grandmother and great-grandmother, a loving and devoted wife, caring sister, cherished aunt, and a precious friend who walked among us for 9 decades plus, accompanying us in life with strongly held values, things she would stand for and things she just wouldn't stand for. A love and affirmation of life and its meaning itself. We gather today with Betty's dear ones. This includes today her sister, Laura May, with whom our hearts ache. Though they lived in a way separate childhoods due to the large difference in age, they shared the same great-looking genes. Laura May is now the bearer of memories for the original family, the last of the 3 daughters of Murray and Jeanette. She's proud to have encouraged the strong relationship that formed between Betty and her children, Paul, Marcy, Kathy, and Amy, also with her beloved Ronnie at her side, who really saw Betty as a sister in his heart, and who was especially appreciative that Betty managed to save the best part of the Thanksgiving turkey for him each and every time. As Laura May looks back, she can remember how the circumstances of their childhood, the difficulty, with Murray dying before Laura May was even born, in a very difficult era to begin with. Betty is the eldest, though she ultimately did graduate from Shaw High School here in Cleveland, went to work after school, and along with her mom, began to make the living that would sustain their family. Even as her sister Rita, may she now rest in peace, worked in their home, taking care of their baby sister. One can only imagine the shock and anguish that touched the family when they sustained this loss. But one of the things that this very difficult experience sealed in Betty was a tremendous set of ritualized patterns, a work ethic, behaviors that helped her maintain some kind of sense of control in a world that had suddenly turned backwards without her father. Growing up with her sister as a hard-working role model, Laura May is struck today with a keen sense of grief as she remembers her sister with love and affection. Our hearts go out today to Betty's devoted children, to Jan, to Andrew and his Bonnie, to Marcy and her Sam. This community of mourners sympathizes so deeply with all of you. Having had your mom's protective and inimitable presence in your lives for so deep into your adult lives, it was hard for you to believe that she would finally succumb, finally not beat back illness and weakness the way she had so many times through her sheer will. Jan told me that she used to teasingly call her mom an Energizer Bunny because of her spirit in body and soul that seemed to just push back all those previous health setbacks and personal challenges. She admired her mom's feistiness and desired to find something to laugh at in most every situation. She describes her mom with such admiration. My strength, my wisdom, my guidance. Marcy spoke to me of a feeling of resolution that came to her and her mom after their once testy relationship matured. When Marcy grew into adulthood, she came to a better sense of understanding and devoted concern and affection for one another. In a few moments, she'll speak to those values and her hope that her mom rest in peace now. She admired her mom's sense of independence, she told me, her toughness against the losses she sustained, including, of course, Marty's death in the early 80s. And also the additional losses she sustained, bidding farewell to dear friends, to her sister Rita, who died just a few years ago. Andy explained to me that because of the nature of losing their dad, tragically, at a tender young age, that Betty really had two lives, the one up until Marty's death, and the one she survived without him for more than 3 decades, not once ever letting go of the devotion and romance and unique bond that she had with him. This was a huge influence on Andy as he watched his mom gradually channel the concern she had for her husband and the anguish of losing him so suddenly into a new way of protecting life, loving and supporting herself as best she could day to day. It is probably no coincidence that in this week when her death has come, within Jewish tradition, we are at the time of the year when Jews are studying the passages of the Torah in which the Israelites are themselves striving to cope with a major life change. They are beginning a long travel through the wilderness, lengthy journey for which they have built a portable mishkan, a sanctuary in which they might gather, feel kinship and family with one another, God's nearness, no matter what tumult they might face. This certainly reminds me of Betty's principled and determined way to face traumas and trials, but not just that. All the more so because these last 4 portions of the book of Exodus, well, they are precise instructions for how to build that portable sanctuary, exacting measurements, standards, including at what angles to place each decoration and each supporting beam, how the foremen were to build, how the artisans to design it just so. This too reminds us of Bettie Neidus, who had, let's just say, a very precise way of explaining to you, if not verbally then in her form of expression, that she knew the difference between right and wrong. Her way was right. This extended to the order in which you would find her kitchen, or in which you might follow her recipe. Also, she would thoughtfully prepare a year or more of birthday cards set up and stamped ready to go to each child, grandchild, and even the great-grandchildren she was blessed to see and to play with and extend her blessing to. I'm told there are cards waiting to still go out to Betty's kids, grandkids, a tradition that they could keep up if they desire. Herself an artistically oriented person, Betty could paint and sew and play piano and sing with grace and beauty. Laura May tells me that Betty could dance a mean jitterbug, and how her sister so adored Frank Sinatra. She enjoyed each of those things, but this also meant that she had no patience for singing or music that wasn't just right, just so, for art that was schlock, or for Hanukkah latkes made from the recipes of Corky and Lenny's and not hers. Still, her fine tastes and her many interests and talents, let alone her independence and energy for life, made her an amazing catch for Marty. When fresh home from the Merchant Marines, he met and began a romance with her that lasted, truly, for each of them, the rest of each of their lives. Married by my temple Anshe Chesed's most iconic rabbi, Rabbi Barnett Brickner, at the Statler Hotel, Betty and Marty were so proud of the life they began, the marriage they began, the values they shared in faith and education, the opportunities they sought for their children, the friendships they built, from within their family and among neighbors and other friends. To those they made like to those friendships that they made just like Betty made her latkes, from scratch. Her desire to connect with and bond with friends sustained her throughout her life. Connections with members of our synagogue, with B'nai B'rith women, where she was a proud past treasurer and past president of her chapter. The bonds with fellow women there alongside those women with whom she passed through the difficult experience of losing a spouse, turning B'nai B'rith women into the Wednesday Widows group, women who helped one another tough out the grief after their spouses had died. But Betty made friends as well among other women who lived by her on Laureldale, and with women with whom she went to senior programs and recreational activities in Beechwood. This was something that was shared with me as well by our temple's cantor, Sarah Sager, who asked that I send her condolences today to the whole family, as she is visiting with her father in his 90s in Chicago. But she remembers going through so much with Betty over the years and noticing her deep friendships that sustained her during difficult times and made her rejoice even the more in the happy times, in which Betty would be stirred and inspired annually, being one of the only ones with the nerve and the capability to join with Cantor Sager in singing the Kol Nidre from her seat each year, proud of her education and the Jewish education she gave to her children. Truly, I knew Betty only since 2010, when I moved to Cleveland to serve as the rabbi at the temple where she had long been a member. As the family shared with me more yesterday, I began to remember a conversation that I had with her in my tenure, shortly after her sister Rita had passed, when I must have been calling her to offer condolences. As usual, she was pretty stoic about that loss. But after a while, and with some space and time, she said it reminded her of the loss of Marty. And her only regret about that was that Marty was never able to know her grandchildren and make memories with them. That moment of sentiment didn't hang there long, but it surely reminded me of how much she adored and admired those grandchildren herself, loving them twice or three times as much in order to make up for the loss of their grandpa. The grandchildren simply knew her as Nana, and in her they knew a source of generosity and caring, someone who was genuinely interested in each of their undertakings. For Sean and his Lynette, Danny and Nicole, Josh and his Brittany, Shannon and her Len, and for Emily and Marnie, who have written words that I will convey on their behalf shortly. Nana was an exceptional role model. Shannon told me of the effort that she and her Nana put into not only maintaining their love from a distance, but nurturing strong connections that she felt with Spencer, now 15 years old, and Avery, a great-grandchild, now 11. And for each of those years of Avery's life, she shared the same birthday with her great-nana. Josh remembers his grandma needing him as a kind of handyman, and not the kind who teaches you how to fix the things, the kind that comes and does it again and again to take care of you, to fix the radio or some technology, something that you need help from your grandson, all for a simple bill. He'd only charge her by getting from her refrigerator on each visit the favorite apple juice cans that she'd save and place in that fridge for him. Marnie and Emily heard from Nana, so proud of their work as teachers at the end of their workdays, and efforted herself to be sure she knew about their lives in Chicago and their undertakings. Emily is the one carrying on Nana's best recipe, her brisket, and it triggers more than just familiarity. It reminds her of her grandmother's devotion and love in its purest form. To know her great-grandchildren, Parker, Spencer, Avery, Jaden, Brooke, Tyler, Summer, Alyssa, gave Betty immense pride and gratitude. I can tell you, as can many of her saddened friends today who knew the gifts of her ripe old age, that she loved you so deeply. The only one she didn't love so much was Arthur. Arthur you may not know was the pet name she gave to the arthritis that pained her so. Arthur, which, thank God, she no longer has to live with, no longer in pain. I'm betting you that if indeed there is a reunion of souls after this life, she is telling Marty about her talented and beautiful and gifted and blessed grandchildren and great-grandchildren. She'd be talking about Jaden's love for Nana's cat bracelet, laughing as she talked about him performing favorite songs, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, or belting out the Hanukkah blessings, even if it's Passover, Rosh Hashanah, or Shabbat. She probably as well would tell Marty how she would have just as soon never met Arthur, the man with whom she spent this additional time, arthritis. But it was worth it if it enabled her to still put on a special t-shirt that said, "I'm going all the way to Chicago to see my granddaughters, Nana's girls." It helped her to see milestone birthdays with dear friends and family, at times that her father and mother never reached in their lives, 80, 85, 90. It is comforting, truly, to remember such hopeful moments on this mournful day. Remembrances of a person who taught us through her life and through taking what life gave her, how to carefully and thoughtfully return to life's purpose, even when loss darkens your world. When loss touched her, when she was in darkness, it seems to me, Bettie Neidus knew where the candles were, how to light a match, and lead a way back into productivity, into the rituals and traditions that mattered to her most. Boy, she hated the idea that someone would have to care for her someday, day to day, moment to moment. And thank God, she kept nearly every opportunity of independence of mind and spirit and body until her heart could sustain no longer. And thank goodness, when she left this world, it was gently in her sleep after a richly lived life. May we all be granted such a gift and the ability to bequeath it with love to those who survive us. Zichrona livracha. May Bettie's memory be an eternal blessing. Amen. I'm glad to call now on Marcy to share some words in tribute to her mom.
I would like to speak a little about gratitude, about being grateful. Grateful for the lessons in life, grateful for your coming here today, grateful for your friendship with and appreciation of Mom, and I'm so grateful for your love for Mom. This is so wonderful to see because love is so important in our lives. I'm also grateful to see how Mom endeared herself to everyone and how everyone who met her loved her. She touched so many people's lives in a way that made them grateful to know her. Mom was a very independent, determined, and strong lady who liked to do things in her way and no other way. She was very opinionated. She was a tough cookie, and she was my favorite tough cookie. She was feisty, sharp as a tack, and would remember people and details even from when she was a little girl. Believe me, I could not keep up with her. Mom never wanted anyone's help. She wanted to do everything by herself. But we know that Mom went through a lot in her life, and so I'm grateful to all of you who helped her through those rough times. As far as my relationship with Mom, I've watched her change, and she's watched me change, which brought us to the relationship we had over the last so many years. I am so grateful that we became friends, almost like sisters, and I could empathize with her. And we laughed together about her kvetchings. Actually, one of the most pronounced things that I'm grateful for in my relationship with Mom was her sense of humor. It kept her going, especially as her health deteriorated. As they say, laughter is the best medicine. She would always keep her chin up and be positive, and she would make jokes about her health issues, even while in great pain. She was absolutely amazing. There were so many times I would be worried about her, and I would call her, and she would very quickly have me in stitches, which would take away all of my worries. We needed this humor in our relationship. At one point, we even spoke about all the trouble I had given her while growing up. I apologized, and we were finally able to laugh about it. So life has its ups and downs, and while today may be a difficult day, I want to express my gratitude to all of you for being with and helping Mom in her last years and days with us. I know that she felt your love for her, and I know that she was very deeply grateful for that. And I am grateful for the love that Mom and I had for each other. Now we will have to keep Mom within our hearts. The body is gone, but the soul remains forever.
Betty's granddaughters, Marnie and Emily, collaborated together to write some words that I've been asked to read on their behalf. Our Nana was an extraordinary woman, the most loving and thoughtful mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. Though she might have been small, she had this warm radiance and quiet strength you could feel the moment she stepped into a room. We have always been closely connected to and obsessed with our Nana. We called ourselves Nana's Girls. We are lucky to have had a very close relationship with her from the time we were babies, and will always remember the family holidays spent together, making potato latkes from scratch during Hanukkah, eating dinner with her on Sundays, exchanging gifts and cards with her to celebrate important milestones. We recently discovered that she has held on to every single card we've ever given her over the years. She was the most creative gift giver, usually presenting us with something she had made herself or an item of significance to her that she would want us to have. Both of us spoke on the phone with her almost every day, and we'd laugh because even though she became forgetful with age, she somehow managed to not forget anything that was happening in our lives. Our Nana was the best example of how to be a great mother, and we're so incredibly lucky and grateful that her strength and wisdom was passed down to her daughter, our mother Jan, and in turn to us, and will continue to be passed down to Jaden, her great-grandson. Every conversation we had with Nana ended with a smile and a simple "I love you." And it's this sentiment we will carry with us forever and pass down to our children. We love you, Nana. I invite you all now to please rise. אל מלא רחמים, שוכן במרומים, חמצי מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה, עם קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזכירים, את נשמת בלה בת משה, שהלכה לעולמה. בעל הרחמים יסתיריה בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר Amen. O God, full of compassion, eternal Spirit in the universe, grant rest now in your sheltering presence to our beloved Betty. She has entered eternity. God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings. Let her soul be bound up in the bonds of everlasting life. God, you are her inheritance, and she yours. May she rest now and always in peace, as together we say, Amen.